When she spoke, she didn't even blink. Mocking the man who loved her seemed effortless for her, almost casual. We were in the middle of packing her suitcase for a weekend trip with friends when her comment hit me like a punch to the chest. "My friends think you're a joke, and honestly, they're right," she said, then laughed as if it were some harmless tease. But beneath that laugh was something cold and deliberate. She meant to wound me. She wanted to feel taller by cutting me down before she walked out the door, never noticing how I went still behind her. A heavy, final sadness settled inside me. The door slammed, echoing through the quiet house, and I just stood there, staring at the empty hallway, wondering how the woman I married had become someone who needed cruelty to feel strong. Her words looped in my mind, each repetition sharper than the last. She had embarrassed me in front of people who barely respected me to begin with, trading my dignity for their approval. At first, all I felt was heartbreak. But something else soon surfaced, calm, focused, undeniable. I realized I couldn't keep living like this. She left expecting me to spend the weekend wounded and waiting. She misjudged me. I didn't raise my voice, didn't beg, didn't try to fix something that no longer deserved saving. Instead, I sat down, inhaled deeply, and made a long overdue decision. If she thought I was a joke, then that was her illusion to keep. I wouldn't live under it anymore. I opened my laptop and began outlining everything: bank accounts, bills, assets, personal items. I organized each piece as if planning a campaign whose outcome was already certain. With every detail I typed, the burden I had carried for so long lightened. I called the real estate agent I'd been avoiding. The house, which had always technically belonged to me, would stay with me. I scheduled a private assessment and listing. I also met with a lawyer and documented years of quiet emotional abuse. He told me the process would be simple if handled carefully. That night, I packed only what I needed, moving with calm instead of anger, certainty instead of fear. For the first time in months, I slept soundly, no tension, no wondering where she was, no desperate effort to earn respect that should have been freely given. Morning light felt different, as if the room itself had been released. I went for a run to clear my head. When I returned, the agent had already sent the listing information. Everything was falling into place quickly, and I welcomed it. The sooner I stepped away from the life she built around me, the sooner I could create the life I was meant to have. Her messages came slowly: sun-soaked resort shots, cheerful group photos, captions dripping with forced joy. Not once did she ask if I missed her. No apology, no warmth. On the second night, she sent only, "Hope you're being productive." The irony almost made me laugh. I was being productive, far more than she'd ever expect. I didn't answer. I learned that silence has its own kind of power. That weekend, I mastered it. The day before she was due back, the agent forwarded the draft of the off-market listing. The lawyer finalized the paperwork. Everything was in place. I felt no nerves, no hesitation, no grief. Years of swallowing insults and excusing her cutting comments had finally reached their limit. When someone calls you a joke, they're revealing exactly how they see you, and once you see it too, you can't unsee it. I set the folder of documents on the dining table, the one she always used to host her friends. When she walked in Sunday night, expecting the same quiet, forgiving version of me, she stopped short. Her bag slipped from her shoulder as she started describing her trip, but her eyes landed on the folder. "What is this?" she asked, confusion tightening her expression. I didn't shout or give a speech. I just said, "The joke's over." The color drained from her face as she flipped through the pages, her jaw quivering. "You're leaving me," she whispered, disbelief thickening every syllable. I nodded. "You left long before this trip. I'm only catching up." She tried to minimize it, to laugh, to blame everyone but herself, but a cruel joke is still cruelty. As the reality settled in, panic took over. She begged, pleaded, promised to change. But change isn't something you suddenly offer when consequences finally show up, it's something you commit to long before you lose someone. I picked up my luggage and walked out. She stayed in the doorway, frozen, mascara running down her face, whispering my name like it could undo everything. I didn't turn around. Not this time. I left in the same silence she once used to hurt me. Driving away, I felt something shift. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away from the version of yourself that someone else tried to shrink. She left for a weekend assuming nothing would be different. She came home to find her words finally carried weight and that the consequences had arrived.